This is a Discovery Optics LHD 8 to 32 power long-range scope, and one of the highest power scopes that Discovery Optics makes, and one of the most affordable, which is saying a lot since Discovery Optics is known for making very affordable scopes. Is it any good? Let's find out. Let me start with a quick unboxing, and then let's just see the contents of the box. This is the Discovery Optics LHD. It is an 8 to 32 power with a 56mm objective lens. And in terms of its overall build quality, from what I can see, it's very well put together. I don't see any noticeable faults, gaps, or blemishes in the externals. It comes with a screw-on about 2¼ inch sunshade, so I do appreciate that. And it has a built-in throw lever, so that's interesting. Now, mine did not come with a 2032 coin battery, which powers the illuminator, and I don't know if that is a new trend, because all the previous scopes that I've gotten from Discovery Optics came with a coin battery, but it's not a big deal. I have a ton of those and they're relatively cheap. Just something I noted. If yours came with a coin battery, please let me know in the comments. That would be interesting to note. And it has 6 levels of illumination with an off in between, and it is illuminated red, and we'll take a look at the illumination on the reticle a little bit later. But our parallax focus goes from 25 yards out to infinity, and that turns very smoothly. Also note that I like the design of the Discovery Optics illumination, combination illumination and parallax focus turret, because they've actually raised or extended, enlarged the diameter of the parallax focus, so it's not totally in line with your illumination. Because I can't tell you how many times I've accidentally turned on the illumination when I was trying to turn the parallax focus, and of course what ends up happening is I accidentally turn it on without noticing it, and the illumination is on all this time in storage, and I end up with a dead battery. So I do appreciate that there is a slightly delineated, from an ergonomic standpoint, the parallax from the illumination. Now let's take a look at our elevation turret. Very loud and tactile positive. And it is 0.1 mrad per click, and it is 10 mils per rotation, so makes the math very easy. This is a user resettable turret. You just unscrew those 4 set screws at the top there with the included Allen wrench, pop it off. Also underneath here is a 0 stop. Drop it down onto the tooth, and you've set your 0 stop. I'll tighten it down, and you've set your 0 stop. All right, let's take a look at our windage, which is not lockable. Well, you don't really need it to lock for any of these for long-range shooting, but let's take a listen. Very loud, and again, tactile positive. Also user resettable with 4 set screws around the top here. Now let's take a look at our magnification ring. Turns smoothly, a little bit stiff without the throw lever, so I certainly appreciate that it has a throw lever. And our ocular turns smoothly, and all the control surfaces have this nice nubby kind of texture to provide you a good grip overall. And there's a fairly good sized eyepiece here. So overall, looks like a nice scope, but of course the most important thing is how does it look through the glass, and we'll take a look at that outdoors next. Before we get started with the test, I'd just like to take a quick break here to talk about this episode's sponsor, Aura. For the cost of just a VPN, I'm getting a whole suite of security services, including $1 million in identity theft insurance, and they're even removing me from those damn data broker listings. Use my link, aura.com/moondog, and you can try them for 14 days, free. And if you use that link, you're helping to support this channel. You know, identity fraud is a real thing, and with AI, it's all too easy to spoof your identity. That's why you should try out Aura. Alright, let's get back to the tests. We are looking through the Discovery Optics LHD 8 to 32 power scope at the peak of Mount Davidson, approximately 1,400 yards away. And we're looking through the scope at its lowest power of 8 to get our best overall image through the glass. And the image is quite good. Good color rendition and sharpness. Pardon the wind noise, it is a bit of a gusty morning today. But as we bring up our magnification, we are just bringing up all the faults in the glass. So let's bring it up halfway to 16 power. And we're still getting a good, clean, sharp image. Just a barest hint of chromatic aberration. You can see a little bit of purple fringe along the tree branches where it's silhouetted against the sky there. And you can see little hints of the sky in the top right of the scope image at this magnification. And let's bring it up all the way to its maximum of 32 power. And that is a good, sharp image. We can see a white object there just to the right of the center crosshairs. That is a trail marker sign at the top of the hill there. It's about a 3-foot-ish steel sign atop an 8-foot pole, which is a good proxy for an IPSC target at this distance. So I've got this in a shady part of this nearby tree, about 25 yards away. And that is the illumination at its maximum intensity. So I'm going to put my hand in front of the bell just so you could see it. And that is what it would look like. Perfectly fine for twilight hunting, for low light hunting, not daylight bright. We are looking through the Discovery Optics LHD, and our reference target's downrange 100 yards away. And let's see what our range of adjustments are like, starting with our elevation. And that is the very top of our image. And we can also see a little bit of the eye box peeking in from the very top there. That's because the camera is locked into the scope tube and can't make little adjustments like our heads can. And that is the very bottom there. And you see the bottom edge of our eye box. Alright, let's bring this turret back to factory 0 and check out our windage. And that is the very right extent of our adjustments. And that is the very left extent of our adjustments. No dead clicks, so that's good. Alright, let me dial this back to factory 0. Now let's bring up our magnification about halfway to 20 power, which is typically the sweet spot halfway in its magnification range for most scopes. And we can even make out fine details in the background, even though that is in shade, in shadow. I can see individual bullet splashes onto the backstop there. Now we are seeing a little bit of chromatic aberration around the outer edge of the target board, and typically you'll see chromatic aberration in high contrast areas, and certainly with a white target against a shadowed backstop you're going to see a lot of contrast. But it is sharp from center to outer edge, so that is good. And we are lined up with the corner cross box there on our grid target, so this is a good opportunity to do a box test starting with our elevation. When we dial in 22 clicks with our elevation, and that puts us into the next box above that one. And let me dial in 22 clicks with our windage, and that puts us into our next box. And let us bring back our elevation to 0, and that puts us into the next corner cross, and 22 clicks back on our windage, and we are right back where we started. So this scope passed the box test. Let's bring up our magnification all the way to 32, and let's take a look at our reference targets at the bottom of our board there. Let me clear the Christmas tree and bring down the reticle so we can see those targets clearly. And I can make out 2 tiny 22 caliber holes below the reactive sticker target on the bottom left. It's a little faint, but I can see them. And in our resolution chart on the bottom right, I can make out both horizontal and vertical lines down to element 6 in group -1 through the camera, but we're getting a little bit of heat shimmer here, and we've lost a bit of light. I'd like to thank Discovery Optics for sending out the LHD for me to test, and this is a surprisingly good scope for what is essentially a budget scope. And by budget, the street price is under $250, and right now on Amazon, I just checked, it's like less than $230, which is kind of crazy for a 32 power scope with these features and this build quality. Now, it's not without its faults. It's kind of heavy. It's like 3 pounds. And it has chromatic aberration, and, you know, it's still plenty sharp with HD glass. I can make out 22 caliber holes from 100 yards, but it's not ED glass, but then again, it's not as expensive as ED glass. And it has a fairly unforgiving eye box, and I know that can be frustrating, especially for long-range hunters, because you got a limited window to engage your game, and you're not always in the best shooting position. So, yeah, let me know in the comments if having an unforgiving eye box is a deal breaker for you. But for the price, yeah, I think I could live with that. And if you're interested in picking one up, I've included product links as well as more information in my full written review at moondogindustries.com. You'll find a link to that article in this video's description. Please use those links. You're helping to support this channel. And of course, you can always help by simply hitting the like button, the subscribe button, and notification bell buttons. It doesn't cost anything to be a subscriber to this channel, and it really does make a big difference. So thanks for taking the time to press those buttons and taking the time to watch this video. God bless. Moondog out. Hey, I'd like to know what you thought of this video. Leave me a comment or chat with me on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, MeWe, Instagram, or Locals. And if you want to see all of my videos, go to moondogindustries.com.